You've probably spent a few minutes scrolling through endless all-in-one options, wondering if any of them will actually fit the way you work and live without turning into an expensive paperweight. I get it, you don't want to drop a chunk of cash on something that looks slick on the box but ends up being a daily frustration. The biggest fear is that you'll end up with a machine that looks great on the desk but can't keep up with the apps you need, or that you'll waste space trying to make a clunky setup work. Link is in the description if you want to check the product details on Amazon. So let's talk about the HP OmniStudio XPC, the 31.5-inch 4K all-in-one that's been billed as an extreme desktop for power users. At first glance, the headline numbers an Intel Core Ultra 7 that can turbo up to 5.6 GHz, 32 GB of RAM, and a massive 8 TB SSD make it feel like a workstation masquerading as a TV. But the real question is whether those specs translate into real-world benefits for the kind of tasks you actually do, and whether the form factor solves or creates new headaches. If you spend most of your day juggling spreadsheets, video conferences, and a few design tools, the sheer size of that 31.5-inch IPS microEdge screen is a genuine productivity boost. The 4K resolution gives you plenty of screen real estate, so you can have a spreadsheet open on the left, a design mock-up on the right, and a chat window tucked into a corner without squinting. I tried it with a multi-window layout in Windows 11 Pro, and the operating system's Snap Assist features work flawlessly on that canvas. The anti-glare coating and 350 nits brightness keep the display usable even on a sunny home office balcony, which is a nice surprise because many all-in-ones sacrifice visibility for sleekness. Now, the processor is the extreme part of the claim. Intel's Core Ultra 7 with turbo boost to 5.6 GHz isn't just a number, it actually feels responsive when you launch heavy IDEs or render a short video clip in Adobe Premiere. I ran a quick 1080p video export and the render time was comparable to a mid-range desktop tower with a similar CPU, but without the clutter of a separate tower, cables, and separate monitor. The 32 GB of RAM means you can keep a dozen Chrome tabs, a virtual machine, and a Photoshop document open without hitting a slowdown, something that matters if you're a freelancer who needs to switch contexts quickly. One of the hidden strengths is the 8 TB SSD. Most all-in-ones settle for a 512 GB or 1 TB drive, forcing you to rely on external storage. Here, you get enough fast storage to house a large media library, a few project archives, and still have room for future growth. Because it's an NVMe M.2 drive, the boot times are practically instantaneous, and loading large datasets in Excel or Power BI feels snappy. In everyday use, that translates to not having to wait for a minute while a big file loads, something that can shave time off a busy workday. But there are trade-offs worth noting. The all-in-one design means the whole unit is one heavy block. You can't easily upgrade the GPU or swap out the CPU later. If you think you'll need a dedicated graphics card for intensive 3D work, you'll be stuck with the integrated graphics that top out at 8 GB of shared video RAM. For most office, content creation, and light to moderate design workloads that rely more on CPU and RAM, this isn't a deal-breaker, but if you're a game developer or a professional VFX artist, you'll feel that limitation sooner rather than later. Another practical consideration is the mini remote control and the 3-in-1 memo pen. On paper, they sound convenient for media consumption or quick note-taking, but in practice, I found the remote a bit finicky when trying to navigate Windows settings from the couch. It works better as a simple volume knob and play/pause button than a full-featured remote. The memo pen, however, is a pleasant surprise for sketching ideas directly on the screen. The pressure sensitivity is decent for casual brainstorming, though you won't get the same feel as a dedicated graphics tablet. Connectivity is solid. Wi-Fi 6 and Bluetooth 5.2 give you fast, reliable wireless performance, and the inclusion of a 5MP IR privacy camera with a built-in microphone means your video calls are clear, and you can enable Windows Hello facial recognition for quick logins. The camera's infrared sensor also helps with low-light situations, so your meetings still look professional even when you're working late. The downside is the lack of a traditional USB-C port with DisplayPort Alt mode, meaning you can't easily add a second external monitor without an adapter. If a dual monitor setup is essential for your workflow, you'll need to budget for a dongle. So, who should actually buy this HP OmniStudio X? If you're a remote professional who values a large, crisp display, needs massive fast storage, and prefers a clean desk without a tower, this machine hits the sweet spot. It's also a good fit for small business owners who want a single device that can handle